Hi spooky friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. As you can tell by the title, we are doing another book haul. I have 18 books to show you that I have gotten over the last couple of months. They don't include books from subscription boxes because I do those in unboxings. So I will leave my unboxings playlist down below so you can go and check that out if you want to see what type of books come in that. But today I'm going to show you books I've bought brand new, my secondhand picks, and then some books that have been gifted, because I realised I haven't done one of these hauls in a long time, and I have started to pick up more new books recently. So we do have 18 books to get through. So let's get started. So first book we have is The Cliffhanger by Emily Feud. I read this book for a readathon book tour. Oh man, I didn't realize my cover is kind of coming apart. That sucks. So I did read this book already for the Insta book tour for this. Absolutely loved it. I think I give it 4 stars, and yeah, it's just a suspenseful thriller. It's about a couple who are writers and they jet off to the south of France in order to fix their marriage and write the next book. This trip is like their inspiration, but things don't go to plan, and the tagline says, "You think you know how this ends, think again." And I totally agree with that. You go into this book thinking you know who the antagonist is, and then it gets flipped and you really don't know who is the bad guy and who do you really root for in this story. It is tense, it's beautiful, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that is the first one. Then we have Vanishing World. It's very bizarre, and yeah, I mean, I have read this, but I'm just not a fan of it. I think this is like beyond the weird that I can tolerate. I read it but didn't really love it. Another book, part of that April stack, is A Maid on Fifth Avenue by Sinead Crowley. This is so outside my comfort zone. This is a historical fiction that has like a mystery element to it. So yeah, it's intriguing. I've not read this one, and I think this is going to be perfect for my mum as well. So yeah, I will probably rehome this to my mum because she'll probably love this a lot more than me. One is The Dog Park Detectives by Blake Mara. This is bone of contention, and I am so excited to read this book. I love dogs. I have a dog myself, and I just think this is going to be so wholesome and fun to read. So yeah, I'm super excited to delve into this. Another one that was part of the thriller stack is The Death Watcher by Chris Carter. First he takes you, then he breaks you. I've never read a Chris Carter book, but I'm super intrigued to get into this. It sounds so gripping. Yeah, it does say that on the back. The gripping new Robert Hunter thriller. So I think this is part of a series. But we'll see. Oh, it is part of a series. Oh, it's a very long series as well. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to see if I need to read the other books before I read this one, just so I don't get too confused. But very excited to have this. The last book from the gifted section is The Midnight Carousel by Faiza Saeed, I don't know, McLinn. I'm probably butchering that name, so I apologize for that. but this sounds like a cozy fantasy story. It says step aboard if you dare. I love such like wholesome carnival stories. So yeah, I'm super intrigued to get into this book as well. I haven't really heard many people talking about it, so if you're interested for me to do like a video kind of review on this book, do let me know. And then I'm moving on to the book stack, the 6 books that I did buy with my own money, full price. And being only 6 is actually pretty good for me, so I'm quite proud of that. So the first one is another fantasy, and that is Dragonfall by R.L. Lamb. I bought this in the lead up to Chimera Festival. They are going to be at the festival, and I wanted to read this before I went, but I haven't gotten around to it, and I now don't plan to go to this panel. So I'm still interested. I love dragon books, so I will read this at some point, but not for the festival. Then we have the second book in the Fallen Gods series. I think that's what it's called. Which is Sunbringer. I loved Godkiller. I've read that book already, but I did pre-order this one in paperback before actually reading Godkiller, so I was hopeful I was going to enjoy it because I did pick this one up. So yeah, now that I have read Godkiller, I am very intrigued to get to this at some point. So now we move into the horror books. The first one here is Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Yuan. So this one has been talked about on socials since it first came out, but it's now in paperback and I had to get it. So I'm super intrigued to get into this. It looks like it's super short as well, so I'm here for a really short read. Then we have Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This is a kind of gothic folk story. It's a dark thriller. I feel like this might lean YA, but I'm not entirely sure. I picked it up because it is about forests and fairy tale-esque writing styles. Yeah, I just love me anything folk based, and I also pre-ordered this one, so was super happy to get my hands on it, but of course I still haven't read it yet, so I do really need to pick this one up soon. Speaking of folk stories, I also picked up The Green Man of Eschwood Hall by Jacob Kerr. So this one, look at this, oh, I love this cover, and I read that it was set in 1962 and that this house was surrounded by woods and that this was a family story rooted in folklore. I'm always wanting to read more folk stories, so of course anytime I see them I do have to pick them up. So that is The Green Man of Eschwood Hall. I do need to read this very soon as well. I'm thinking though that this might be like a autumn read. Finally, the last book is a more recent pickup, and that is Bunny by Mona Awad. I see this book everywhere. Literally, everybody talks about it, everybody raves about it, and I'm yet to read it. So when I've seen that it was in a train station actually, when I was coming back from Newcastle, I was like, yeah, I mean, why not pick up this copy? I was bored, I was waiting for a train, so I grabbed a book. I don't really know much about it other than people saying it's absolutely incredible. It's weird and it's like a fairy tale horror, so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Add it to the list. I've read a couple of Mona Awad books and I have really enjoyed them, so I'm sure this one is not going to be any different. Finally, we have the 6 books that I've picked up secondhand, and starting with Everyone Here Is Lying by Shari LaPena. I picked this one up in a charity shop a couple of months ago. If you've seen my shorts, I have posted about me picking these books up in the charity shop. I really want to read Shari LaPena. I haven't picked up a book by her yet, so I am very intrigued to get into her writing and see if her thriller style is something that I would enjoy. And then, of course, I had to pick this book up, and that is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I have loved The Silent Patient by this author, and also The Maidens, which was a 5-star read. So I was like, you know what, he hasn't failed me yet. I had to pick up The Fury and give it a go. I haven't read it just yet. There's too many other books that I am reading, but I am hopeful I will get to this one very soon, and I'm just so glad to have a copy. And then we have another book that I am really excited to have a physical copy of, and that is Ararat by Christopher Golden. I absolutely love polar horror stories, and I literally gasped when I found this one in the charity shop, and it was only for £1, so I couldn't say no. Like, literally, it's a quid. So picked it up, super excited to delve into this in the winter time. I've been wanting to read this book for the longest time, so I wanted to buy it, but I wanted to hold out until I've read some other polar horror, and I guess this one is going to be high on my winter TBR this year. I'm also going to an event where Christopher Golden is going to be talking about his latest book, The Nightbirds, I think it's called. So I'm going to be taking my books out to get them signed as well, and I guess I'll take this one too. I'm super excited to be going to some more book events this year, and a special horror one for autumn is Christopher Golden and Tim Levin. They're talking about their new books, and yeah, I've already met Tim before, but I'm really excited for his new book because it is more folky, and also Christopher Golden is such an incredible writer and I love some of his books. So yeah, I'm super excited to go to that, and obviously having that new book as well is going to be even more special to have them personalized. Another folk story I've been meaning to pick up, it gets recommended all the time, and that is The Ritual by Adam Neville. This is a really popular story. It's also a movie as well, but this is set in the forest of Scandinavia, where they go on a hike in the Arctic Circle. So that's like mixing folk stories and polar horror together, even though I don't think it's actually set in the winter time. But yeah, they stumble upon like an old house and they find some old rites and pagan sacrifices. So it is very folk horror. And so I'm very much looking forward to reading this book, and I'm really glad I found it in a charity shop today. So I picked it up and it was £3, so it wasn't too bad. And then I did the unspeakable thing and I paid for an ARC. So my charity shop had like 4 or 5 different types of ARCs that they were selling. They were selling them for £1, and I haven't picked up this book. I loved the first one, which was The Watchers, so when I seen that they were selling this for £1, I was like, yeah, why not? Stay in the Light by A.M. Shine. This is the sequel to The Watchers, and I thought that book was great. Another folk story that's set in the woods in Ireland. I'm happy to have my hands on this. Super intrigued to read it. I know I could have bought Stay in the Light as the actual book, but it was there. I was there. I just picked it up. So I'm very intrigued to read this one. And the last book I have to show you is one that I have picked up for Crimea Festival. That is Curdle Creek by Yvonne Battlefelton. This book, I am currently reading it as well in the lead up to that event. This one, as soon as I seen that she was attending this event, it looked very up my street. Like, this screams folk. It also has like that ghosty, supernatural, gothic vibe, and I was like, yes, I have to have a copy of this. So that is it for this video. I will probably be doing an update of this after the festival because I am guaranteed to be picking up more books there. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of them, if you've got any of these on your TBR. Let me know in the comments. I would love to have that discussion with you. And I guess until next time, keep your pages turning and embrace the darkness. Bye!